I mean, for starters, heartbroken. It's hard to explain it. You know, feel deeply for family, for his family. Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
It's interesting, the weather community has its own, it's a community of weather weenies, and I think that's the thing that Tom and I think most of the team probably most bonded on, was the fact that, like, he couldn't sleep if he thought his forecast was going to be wrong, right? And that's something that, like, a normal person doesn't think, but we do, and that's like, I think that was a big bonding feeling for all of us, is that the number one thing the weather team wants is to feel like you truly love it. And I think that's something that I thought about that this morning. That struck me, like, what did we have most in common? And it was that passion and obsession, really.
It was hard to take him at first. I kind of had to warm up to him a little bit. Personality-wise, it was kind of different from what I was used to, but he became, I would say, a great friend, and someone who I wish I would have been around a little bit more often. I kind of shifted schedules a little bit halfway through my tenure here and so far, but we kind of worked opposite schedules. I didn't get to really see him as much, so I really wish that I would have spent more time with him.
Jess, you had the impossible job of going on last night, and it's something he would have wanted you to do.
Yeah, you're gonna make me sad again. Yeah, no, he was fun. He was just always, like, so pumped up about the snow. You know, we worked together for some of the snow events, and we were both in here and, you know, throwing stuff back and forth. What, did you see this snowfall total? Did you see this one? You know, what? Yeah. I don't know. He was always just so excited, just weather nerds, like the rest of us, I guess.
That was totally his season, too. And that's what kind of struck me. I mean, he's a Philly boy, you know, and yeah, they get winters there, but come on, do they really get winters?
Right. Yeah.
And he spent most of his career, you know, in Florida and in Arizona, warm weather climates. He comes up here to Maine, where we get winters, and he just ate them up. Like, he just loved them. He loved snowboarding. He loved being outdoors in them. That was his happy place.
What did we miss? You know, I'm feeling so guilty today that this happened.
Yeah, I don't know if you can always tell. I think it depends how much someone wants to let you in. You know, I think, like, the thing with Tom, like I was saying, we bonded most over the weather, and that was the thing that we spent hours together sitting
Side
here
by
to
side.
here,
Sure.
but that's the majority of what we talked about, and I think everybody feels guilty when they have any association and they feel like they could have missed something, but I think it was important to Tom to be private.
Yeah.
And I mean, frankly, and this is a thing now, I didn't know how old he was until the missing persons report came out yesterday, and you know, and I directly had asked him before. So I think that's the thing, is I think we look back and we say there's only so much you can see if that's what they want you to see.
I mean, I have a great story from when I came back up here from Boston. In that first week, we went out for a couple of beers, and, you know, just a little getting to know each other. And I remember point blank asking him, Tom, how old are you? And he's like, he turned it right around on me. How old are you? I'm like, well, I'm going to be 40 next year. And he's like, yeah, I'm around there. I'm a little bit older than that. I'm like, oh, like 41, 42, 43. He's like, yeah, somewhere around there. And then he just went on to something else. So that's just...
Well, and I had him at 42, so really he should have been okay with telling us.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I had pegged him a little lower.
Could he do weather?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what he did in this office. He made all of us better meteorologists because he was so damn competitive. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, if you said it was going to be like 6 inches, he'd figure out how to be better than you and make it even more accurate than that. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The kid was exceptionally competitive, and it made us better.
Yeah. In fact, one of the last text messages we got as a group, remember, the last storm, we wanted to go, 2 storms ago, Todd had wanted to go lower the whole time.
Yeah.
Me and TJ were on the higher side. This big group texted about it. We're trying to stay high. He's trying to be low. Turns out it was high, right? Portland got almost 11 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I ate
One of the
it was
last
bad
text
for me.
messages, and he and Todd, being the nice guy that he is, overly admitted. He was like, "I messed this one up, blah blah." But one of the last texts that we got from TJ in the group was just a bunch of snowflakes.
Right.
And said, snowflakes and said, "Uh-oh," and we're like, you know. But you're right. In a way, there's something in a field in which we feel like, in the joke is, "Oh, we can be wrong," and you kind of weren't. It was almost more important that you didn't want to hear it from TJ than the public.
Right.
Like I wanted to get that right.
You didn't
for
want to
that
go
standpoint.
against TJ and be wrong.
Yeah,
if you were
you
going
better be
against
right.
him, you better be right, or else you're gonna hear about it.
Which is, you know, I think one way or another people drive themselves to be better at things, and you get I think you see it in athletes a lot too,
Yeah.
where that's like part of their drive. But yeah, he could definitely do weather.
And I'll say too, above all else, he has a huge heart. Had a huge heart.
Yeah.
And I remember I was filling in for Todd on a Friday morning for a storm center. I think Keith was off too. So I was doing the morning shift, doing the noon shift, and that's a decent
It's a long-
stretch.
it's a
that
long
can
one.
yeah. And out of the corner of my eye, I'm trying to update social media. I'm trying to update the web, talking to the viewers. I see something out of the corner of my eye walking over here, and I turn around and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" It was Tom. Came in on his vacation.
Brought you a cup of coffee, right?
Bought me a cup
Yeah, I
of
think I
coffee,
remember that story.
and he says, "So, how you holding up?" And there's probably a little bit of sweat coming from my brow. I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm okay, Tom." And he went like this. Jessamine used his mug prop, but he just went like this and said, "You are doing a great job," and that's something that will just always stick with me forever. Yeah.
All the attitude was at night. I mean, if you think about it, you've got such a likable. You got Corey and Todd in the morning, and then at night.
I could be a jerk too. I just want to get it out there.
Right, but
right?
it's hard to get it out of you. You really have to poke the bear. And then you had me and Tom at night, who were both kind of like, we don't care what anybody else thinks. We're like
Right.
tweeting the NWS stuff. I mean, it just, you know. But yeah, I think he had that too, and it was in a different way than me. But we had like this attitude at night.
You got to admire somebody that can actually stop him in his tracks.
Yeah.
You know, because
Hard to do.
he's so darn witty.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and
hard
he can
to-
come up with a joke so quickly. But Tom could do the same.
Yeah.
And he knew just how to like stir the pot perfectly.
Right.
To like
That's
to
a
get under
skill.
your skin,
That's
which
a skill.
is almost impossible to
Yep.
do. Almost impossible to do.
That's true.
He had a private side.
Yeah, and some people are like that, and you have to understand
respect
it,
it.
and and I guess we don't really know where that came from, and unfortunately, maybe it's a little bit more clear now. I think sometimes when people go up and down, you know, that maybe leads to that a little bit, and I think everybody felt like the up and down was like he'd go party and then come back, and I don't know, but you know,
Yeah.
and in reality, maybe that's not what it was.
Yeah.
You know,
That was the hard part, I think. You know, trying to get to know him better, and not just in this office, but more outside of this office. You know, be personal with him and get to the core, and that wasn't easy to do with him. And you got to respect that, because you know some people just aren't cut from the same cloth. You know.
Yeah, I feel like at the same time though, like, well, I totally agree with you guys about not knowing him that well at all. Like, I feel like viewers really felt like they knew him. You
That's
know,
a really
I feel
good
like he
point.
really, really reached out to viewers.
Yeah.
He loved to tweet. He loved to tweet first. He loved to
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah, yeah,
first.
yeah.
He was competitive. He had hashtag TJ Thunder fan cam.
Oh, yeah,
which,
yeah.
you know, poked a little fun at him,
Yeah.
you know, about.
Oh, man,
but
I ripped him on that, yeah.
I just feel like the viewers just loved him, and I
Yeah.
think we're really seeing that, you know, today from all the emails and texts and everything.
Interesting. As little as we knew him,
They
he
seem to know
did
him.
connect with viewers.
Yeah,
Connected with
he did.
Absolutely. That's a
Definitely
great
did.
point you make there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And-
didn't know him as well as the viewer
I
knew
know.
him. You
Which
know?
is kind of sad in a little bit.
in a
of
way-
way
in a
that
way,
It could be
yeah.
accurate, yeah. It's to the point where, you know, I went up to Sunday River on Sunday after he had
Yep.
been there on Saturday, and I was trying to get the first run with him in, and unfortunately that's when he had left, and you know, who knows what happened since then. But you try to make some efforts, but at the same time, like, we're not married to him. If he doesn't want to be BFFs, you know, I think we had a good working
Absolutely.
relationship, and that's sometimes all you can.
Yeah, hope for it.
You know, that's all you need, or all somebody wants out of a job. You know.
Mhm.
So
That 36-degree thunderstorm we had last night is going to haunt me because I don't know anything about the
Yeah,
weather.
weird.
I don't remember much of that, and
Strange.
and I just think TJ Thunder's still rolling somewhere.
I think you're right. I think it's perfectly said. I mean, it's, you know, we found out, I think we all found out in the middle of the night pretty much. And that was the first thing that came to my mind, you know. Thunder, early April, you know.
not just
everybody
one crack
knows.
either.
Yeah. And that's his style too. you
Yeah.
know. He wouldn't just be subtle like that.
Yeah.
You know, he'd be big. Go big or go home kind of thing.